Berserker, from the Old Norse berserker, can be directly translated as bearskin, possibly due to the animal hides and hollowed heads they were to battle. In Old Norse, the berserkers were those who were said to have fought in a trance-like fury. They didn't fear death and would strike down enemy after enemy. It has been said they consumed hallucinogens before heading into battle. In pre-medieval and medieval Norse and Germanic history and folklore, these men were members of unruly warrior gangs that worshipped Odin, the supreme Norse deity. They attached themselves to royal and noble courts as bodyguards and shock troops. But as paganism faded out, so did the berserkers, their role relegated to demonic characters filled with rage and bloodlust in Christian stories, or heroes and mighty warriors in the Old Norse sagas. But where did the berserkers come from? One of my all-time favorite units in the Total War franchise is, in fact, the berserkers from Rome Total War. And if the developers are to be trusted, that means that berserkers existed during the 3rd century BCE. But is this true? It is theorized by some historians that the warrior cultures of the north originated from hunting magic, old traditions passed from the hunter-gatherer cultures of the Paleolithic. These traditions originated 3 main cults: of the bear, the wolf, and the boar. Each played a central role in Germanic culture, and each gave way to their own warrior caste: the berserker, the hulfionar, and the jorfur, respectively. However, mentions of this warrior caste only start appearing in Norse poems and sagas from the 9th century onwards. Luckily, there are other depictions of warriors barefoot, bare-chested, bearing weapons and helmets that associated with the Germani. Scene 36 of Trajan's column shows some of these warriors standing together, some wearing bear hoods, and some wearing wolf hoods. At least, that is what Wikipedia claims. I, however, was only able to find bare-chested, barefooted, mace-carrying people who may be associated with the Germani. But if we look further back in time, there is evidence of Bronze Age Nordic peoples who had a group called the Korios. They would hunt in packs, wear animal skins, and even skirmish in battle with animal-like rage. This is indeed common to several Indo-European cultures of this period. Perhaps these are the real ancestors of the berserkers, which means that it is likely they existed in some form or another during the 3rd century BCE. The first Norse mention of berserkers is in the 9th century by Thorbjorn Hornkofi in a poem on the Battle of Hafrsfjord. I honestly don't know how to spell these names, I'm just doing the best I can. The berserkers are depicted as religious warriors, noble and strong, capable of shapeshifting into a bear to use the animal's strength and bravery. In the Svartfadila saga, I butchered that again, a berserker postpones a challenge to single combat until 3 days after Yule. In battle, they would howl like wild beasts, foam at the mouth, and gnaw at the rims of their shields. According to belief, during these fits, they were immune to steel and fire and made great havoc in the ranks of the enemy. This euphoric state was likely induced through hallucinogens. They say that once the effects were off, the berserker would be rather weak and tame, probably due to exhaustion. Kings and jarls would use these men in battle. They'd often be used as shock troops or bodyguards, out of battle as champions of these men, but as time passed, the portrayal of berserkers in poems and sagas shifted. They began being described as boasters rather than heroes, and as ravenous men who loot, plunder, and kill indiscriminately. Within the sagas, berserkers can be narrowed down to 4 different types. The king's berserker, likely bodyguards and champions. The hall-challenging berserker, one who would challenge everyone in a hall until somebody finally stood up to them. This one was also known as the a-hole. The Holmgungumauer, I don't know. This is a word for pre-medieval duels. This type of berserker would presumably be a duelist. And the Viking berserker, the one who went on Vikings throughout the Northern Sea and possibly all the way down to the Mediterranean Sea. But once paganism disappeared, berserkers were relegated into the Christian stories of shield-biting demons rampaging through villages. But, my friends, they still exist. Well, kinda. They don't really exist. All that's left of the bear warrior is the symbolism on the bearskin caps that style the heads of the guards of the Danish royal family. And I'm sure these men aren't using hallucinogens. Hope you have learned quite a bit today. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to have a berserker bodyguard, or if you're a berserker yourself, tell me what type of berserker were you. Well, I've been Wolf, stay wonderful, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace.